I'm going to bring in now John Yoo, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General under President George W. Bush. Great to see you. And Professor of Law at the University of California at Berkeley. John, thanks for being with us. My first question is, it has to do with the sort of hyperventilating that people are doing over the president being made available. We knew that the invite would come.
Yes, in fact, that would be the next natural, the last step of the investigation is for the president. It's the president who really is the heart of the investigation. I actually think President Trump should welcome the opportunity to speak to Mueller and try to accelerate it, because after he's done, that will wrap up Mueller's probe.
You think it is? You think this is it? You don't think that anybody follows the president?
No, the way federal prosecutors work is they start from the ground up with the little guys first, and they build the case with the facts from there, and then they really only interview the people at the top at the end when they feel they have all the facts that they can get and they have a pretty good idea what happens. So you'll notice when Ken Starr undertook the special counsel investigation of Whitewater, he didn't interview President Clinton until the very end. So actually this is a good sign. It doesn't seem like it, but it's a good sign for the White House, because if you think about it, this means that the probe by Mueller will wrap up hopefully in less than a year, which is almost like light speed for a federal investigation.
Light speed. Talk to me about the pickup, though, the increase in activity just of late, what you make of it.
Yes, I think it's a good question. I think now we're finally starting to see where the investigation is going. And I've always said this, I don't really see the facts for any kind of crime between the Trump campaign and Russia. The collusion is not a crime. Conspiracy is a crime. We're not really seeing the facts for that coming out. What Mueller's doing by the questioning, the people he's identifying for questioning, it looks like he's really going to focus on obstruction. That's why he's interviewing mostly now people who are already in government. If he was going after conspiracy, he'd be interviewing more people from the campaign before Trump became president.
Interesting. All right, I want to pop this up. It talks about where Americans are in all of this. 8 and 10 say that the president should testify under oath for Mueller if asked. Do you agree with that? Judge Napolitano, our guest on Outnumbered last hour, said the president should avoid this like the plague, basically. But do you agree? Do you think he, like the American people, are saying it's a good idea for the president to go ahead, say what you know?
I'm afraid I disagree with Mr. Napolitano. I think it would be a big mistake, actually, for President Trump to raise executive privilege. It's not clear, actually, that he even has a claim. This is the same claim. This is the same thing that Nixon did. And one lesson you have, if you've ever worked on presidential scandals, is do the opposite of what Nixon did. Nixon didn't want to testify. He went to court to refuse to turn over the Watergate tapes, and he lost. And if President Trump were to try the same, under Supreme Court case law, he would lose. He doesn't have a right to keep presidential conversations secret from a bona fide federal investigation. Now, Trump could always fire Mueller. He could fire Mueller. He's allowed to fire Mueller if he thinks that Mueller's going beyond his ambit and is going too far. But then the investigation would still continue by career prosecutors. So I think the best thing, welcome the questioning, try to have it done as soon as possible so you get the probe wrapped up, and then President Trump can return to fighting about infrastructure and immigration reform.
John, you're an interesting fellow. I don't want to let you go, but I've got just a couple more questions, and I know I have to. What terms should the president and his attorneys agree to in terms of answering the questions by Mueller?
Well, Mueller is a very experienced prosecutor. He was the head of the FBI himself. He was U.S. attorney out here in San Francisco, which I can tell you is a full-time job. He is not going to want to let anything be written down first. You know, the prosecutor wants to have the questions oral. He wants to see where they go so they can go on the fly, so he can go in different directions. So Mueller's going to resist letting the president and his lawyers put anything right. I got to say, the president's lawyers are doing a great job, by the way. They're getting the investigation done fast, and they're trying to narrow the scope of the questions.
What should they push for?
So I think what they should try to do is try to get everything down in writing that might cause perjury. That's what they're worried about. They got to try to figure out what did other people say, and then try to put down in writing so the president, he speaks off the cuff. He doesn't speak in a prepared way. That's really dangerous in a law enforcement interview. He doesn't want to cause perjury by contradicting what other people said. So that's probably the stuff they want to put down in writing.
Wow, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General and the George W. Bush Department of Justice. We are grateful for your time today, John Yoo. Thank you. We'll bring you back another day.